All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Letters of Intent, where we explore how decisions get made before the outcomes become obvious.
And Pankaj and I like to say Letters of Intent is where he and I learn things. And today we're learning from someone we really respect and admire, Brendan Rogers. Today's conversation is about building, but not just the highlight reel. We're talking about what it actually takes to build, scale, exit, and then figure out what comes next.
Brendan is the co-founder of WAG, which scaled to a leading marketplace for pet services and went public on the NASDAQ. Before that, he built and exited a social platform acquired by IAC. And today he's a partner at 2AM VC, a prominent Indian VC, but also operating here in the US, which he's going to tell us more about. So Brendan, welcome to Letters of Intent.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited about this.
Let's do it. Let's rock and roll. Let's start with something simple but not easy. You had an exit early in your career. What made you decide to stay in the game of entrepreneurship instead of stepping away?
Yeah, it's a great question. A great way to start off the pod. For me, I was an athlete and I loved being on teams and I love the ups and downs and just like everybody having the same mission and passionate about doing the same thing. So after the first company, it wasn't a ridiculous outcome where I'm going to go lay on the beach for the rest of my life, even though I probably wouldn't consistently build a legacy. And I'm just like the type of person where like, even if I, could be on an island for the rest of my life, like I probably wouldn't do that. So yeah, that kind of just wanted to, as technology was just like growing super fast and, coming off the momentum from the first business, it was like, just take a swing at the plate again.
So that's exciting. So, what was it about just taking that swing again? You consider yourself like always an entrepreneur? Did you consider other things in your career, or is this entrepreneurship is something just that came naturally to you?
So that's a really good question as well. I think for me, so I was an athlete, so that helped me be working with people, being a leader, kind of showing up every single day with discipline to get better and better. So I thought that was I think that's just in my DNA. Also, when I grew up, I used to sell stuff on Craigslist. I used to burn CDs and sell CDs. I always liked transactions. So I would sell, I'd go into my basement in Rhode Island where I grew up and I'd ask my dad to be like, hey, do you want any of this stuff? And he'd be like, no. And I would go put it all on Craigslist and he would take me to the Walmart parking lot and we would sell stuff. And it was just, I had the bug. And then I was interested in just computers. I enjoyed burning CDs, going on Napster and Kazaa and all these places and doing all that.
And I think for those Gen Z listeners, listeners, you may need to clarify what that is.
Google that one. But I think I was one of the first guys or first kid in the neighborhood to have DSL, where I didn't have to aggravate my parents to get off the phone and stuff.
Yeah.
So I just was into it, and then I think also with the movie The Social Network, the story about Facebook and how young people are building businesses and they're very contrarian and just corporate just didn't really it sounded fun and interesting and an adventure. And I look at life as an adventure. So I think I had the right ingredients to make a really good dish. And then lastly, I surrounded myself with people that were also kind of ridiculously disciplined, but also having that shameless, fearless mentality where it's why build someone else's dream when you can build yours? And that was my core pillar inside of me was if I'm going to do this thing called life, I'm going to swing for the fucking fences out here. And for me, starting a business and controlling my destiny and being the director of my own movie was ridiculously attracted to me. So I really just wanted to live that life and go down that path. And I'll leave it at the one of the biggest fears that I had, kind of as I was figuring out okay, you're going to go get a suitcase and you're going to show up to Palo Alto and figure this out. I never wanted to be the guy that looked up at the ceiling when I'm 50 and be fuck, I wish I did this. I wish I did that. I want to have zero regret. So that's kind of how it all started. And my mentality behind the urgency to go build a business.
I love it, man. Actually, this is, I think, why we get along, Brendan, and I think we've connected over the years, and I think we operate on similar wavelengths, because it's funny, your story is very similar to mine, that I moved out to LA because I didn't want to wonder what if, because I moved out to LA at the bottom of the legal market in 2009 when there was no jobs for lawyers anywhere. And I said, I want to just figure this out. And just like you, and I think that is a hallmark of entrepreneurship. I think I heard two things from you, and I loved and I wanted to emphasize is that just making sure you try, making sure you take a swing at things when you can and while you're young, because I feel like it gets a little harder as you get older and you have other obligations, but that's a great time to try these things and take some risks on yourself. I mean, sometimes we're told to like, oh, get that job. I had a lot of pressure to go work in corporate America, but I said, wanted to do this on my own. And it's been the best decision of my life. But I think if you're listening to this and talking, thinking about entrepreneurship, I think Brendan said two important things. It's the first one is also selling. And I think that is so critical is you have to learn how to sell in anything you do in life. And I think you're so right because like just that idea of like selling stuff in your neighborhood. Like I remember I found some law books that were a teacher was giving away in law school. It was like outside their classroom. There was like probably 50 law books that they got as now I think the statute of limitations has probably passed. So I think I can say this. But yeah, there was like maybe like 30 law books that were there. Each of them was more than $100. And these were like sent by the own by the publishers saying, oh, because they want them to use the book in their class. My buddy Robbie and I actually, he was on the podcast, got those books. We like carted them to the car like 7 trips because they're so heavy, and then ended up putting on eBay and selling them and made a few thousand
That's
bucks.
awesome.
So, I think that spark, that desire to like, okay, hey, how can I turn this into something is a critical element of an entrepreneur. And I love the story you shared.
That's awesome.
I do want to ask, okay, right now entrepreneurship is tied very heavily to tech.
Mhm.
Do you feel like to be a founder today, you need to have some kind of a technical background?
Man, you guys are coming out with the good questions. I'm not gonna lie. I think that no, I think like just I just was into tech and that's what I gravitated towards. Like I have a really good buddy, my co-founder now of 2MVC. He has one of his buddies that lives in Long Beach and he has a very successful acai and smoothie business. It's got like 7 locations around Southern California and it's a
What's the name of it?
is it?
What's the name of that business? Because I think I've been there. What is the name of it?
Oh
You
my
remember?
God. I don't know the exact name, but
I remember there was an amazing acai place in Long Beach that when I used to live there. I'm wondering if the same, but anyways, yeah, I was just
I'm a
thought I'd
big
ask it.
fan
I'll
of
look it up.
acai.
The owner's name is Raj. I don't know his last name, but he's an unbelievable individual. So to answer your question, no, I don't think you need to be technical. So in this example, this gentleman, an amazing human being, has 7 or 8 smoothie shops, employs a bunch of people, makes people healthy. Having those values, I think are really awesome and important. But he's not a technical individual, but he's a very successful entrepreneur. I do think though, every founder needs to, no matter what you're building, you need to be shameless, right? Like you need to have the ability to be like, you know what? I don't care about rejection. I'm gonna be shameless and reach out to people. You need to have that, in my opinion. So that could be running a t-shirt business or running OpenAI. You need to have those skill sets. And there's no wrong or right business to do. And then in terms of like what Pankaj says, like you have to be extremely comfortable with the uncomfortable and having the ability to go and sell and learn. Like these are all things that I think like you can be guided, but you have to just go out in the real world and get the rejection and become shameless and be uncomfortable or be comfortable with the uncomfortable. And I think those kind of high level ingredients allow founders, like those are what I look for, but I think every founder should have that. And then also like I think a lot of founders that I invest in and that I've seen, technical or non-technical, like they are ridiculously passionate about what they're building and they are believe in the pain point that they're trying to solve where like nothing is going to get in their way to solve that. And then lastly, like the ability to also fail fast. Like so Reid Hoffman says this thing like you have to fail fast, meaning like if the shit's not working, like go off of data, do whatever it takes to understand the data. But if it's just not working, maybe if it's timing, whatever it is, move on and go do something else. So yeah, I don't think long story. I don't think short. I don't think you need to be technical. But those are some of the ingredients that I like look for in founders, and like I think those are key ingredients to build a business.
Yeah, so I want to press you a little bit on that question, Brendan, because I think it's a great point and observation. We hear that a lot by a lot of VCs as well. It's like, hey, fail faster. Mark Zuckerberg said it, but I feel like that's such a hard decision to make as a founder, right? When do you give up your baby? When do you give up this thing that you're delusional and because I think like I mean maybe they're not contradictory, but like being maniacal and delusional about your ability to succeed is a key hallmark of a founder. But then when do you know when to drop that and say, you know what, this is probably not going to work and I need to pivot or I need to try something else, because I think there is an element of like the real value of persistence and being able to stay longer than other people But I think it's a tough call, and I wanted to get your thoughts on how you see that.
Yeah, I think like having the skill set of being able to endure is very powerful. And I don't know if there's an exact answer to this, but if for me it's like, when you're building a business, you want to obviously get customer feedback and you want to see how customers are enjoying the experience. And like if you're like tracking metrics around like if you have users or customers or whatever it is, and those metrics are like declining over time, I think those are kind of just high level kind of points where you can be like, okay, like what's happening here? So like really looking into the data and realizing like, does the unit economics make sense? Are people like churning at like high rates? Can I attract capital? Does the actual like business model make sense? And I think it's one of those things where like you get to that conclusion and then you ask yourself like, no one knows yourself better than you. Like, do I still want to be in this business? And I think a lot of founders get burnt out. So for me, I think if founders like cannot raise capital and it's been X amount of time, if there's high churn, if there's people that are just like you're not getting people excited or people that actually want to use the product, I think those are just all indications of like maybe this is not the best way to build this business. And I think timing also has a lot to do with it too. I think like if you look at some of these AI companies, if they were founded like 7 or 8 years ago, they probably wouldn't have the kind of the traction they have now. So that's how I would look at it. It's a really interesting question because amazing founders are so obsessed with their business where it is their baby and they're going to die on that hill no matter what. So I look more for like the endurance of it all. I look forward of like, look, like this isn't going to work, but I'm going to get back up. I'm going to do something else. So yeah, I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer for that, but
Yeah, I
that's
don't
how
think
I would
there
look
is.
at it.
I think there is, and I just wanted to hear your thoughts and opinion, being a founder now, being a VC. But let's quickly just maybe pivot to WAG because we want to hear that as kind of the inflection point of what you're doing now. So tell us a little bit about WAG, what it was, what it is, and how maybe that led you to your current venture.
Yeah, so my background, just to lay it on the table, is I don't have a traditional Silicon Valley kind of founder background, if you will. I there is founders with my backgrounds that have been very, very successful, but I never went to like very, very good colleges. I never worked at like a FANG company at first, or like I was kind of like I showed up with a suitcase and had to like claw my way into these circles. So with WAG, so basically what was interesting in 2014, that's when kind of this Uber for X model like was really taking off. So you had companies like Instacart, you obviously had companies like Postmates, and then DoorDash started in 2014, and then you had kind of that habit creation already been created by the Ubers and the Lyfts of the world. But people were like used to like getting things like now and like solving kind of that friction in some of the people's daily lives. And what was interesting is as I was thinking about the next business was like, what is a sector where there's like high LTV, meaning like where are people spending a lot of their money and where are people spending their money like over time throughout their life? And pets is a category where people spend a ton of money and they have multiple pets throughout their lives, whether if it's dogs, cats and dogs, fish, birds, whatever it is. And what was interesting was the way that people cared for their pet changed dramatically, in my opinion, in the last 10 to 20 years. Whereas when my dad grew up, the dog was like in a doghouse outside, chained to a tree. They're
Hmm.
giving it like really shitty dog food.
Yeah.
Now the dog is like in your bed and you're
Yeah.
like like the dog is like literally in your bed. You're taking it
Yeah.
on like putting
You're
like really good
you're
food.
sleeping on the floor, the dog's sleeping in the bed. Yeah, it's like, yeah,
Yes,
the
like
dog's taking
you're
over. Yeah.
so the thought of like, okay, this is part of my family. My dog's my child. That was really interesting because the kind of the care was changing. LTV was exploding. And then also like in LA, I thought was ridiculously interesting because in LA, as you guys know, there's a lot of people that have like multiple jobs, especially if you're in the entertainment space. You have this excess of supply where people are like, well, okay, do I want to go sit in a car all day and be in traffic driving for Uber? Do I want to go in and out and get aggravated at restaurants for delivering food? Or I can play with puppies and walk dogs, get exercise, get sun, be tan for my auditions, whatever it is. So it was like the perfect place from the supply side of LA. And then also in LA, as you guys know, there's crazy traffic. It gets really hot. So dogs are inside all day. You want to stay out for drinks with your friend, and you're like, oh shit, I got to go home and let my dog out. So that was something that made sense on the demand side. And then also, a lot of people in LA, they're maybe having like kids later on in life, but their first kind of touch point is like a dog or whatever it is. So it made sense on the supply side and the demand side and the LTV side. And so it was like, okay, well, if we can get inside the pet parent's heart and provide a service that had high frequency and high retention, meaning like they're thinking about us on a couple days a week thing, timeline, how else can we extend LTV and get into that wallet of where they're also allocating money, such as sitting and boarding,
So
veterinarian
you mean
health,
LTV, meaning what again?
like
LTV is
lifetime value of the customer?
lifetime value of okay,
Yeah,
of the
so,
customer.
like, so getting inside, like, the wallet of the pet parent. So, we thought if we can get inside the hearts, provide a repetitive dog walking service, get them obsessed with the product, and then we can extend lifetime value by offering sitting and boarding or veterinarian help and stuff. So, really being the button on your phone for your paw, and that's what we did, and we basically launched a product. It was a very, like, manual experience for the first probably 6 to 9 months. And then we built a lot of like automation around the tech piece. And it was a very like brandable business from a marketing perspective so people could hear about it. And then we raised capital around it. And then once we like really understood how to hire the walkers, how to market the product, and how to solve friction in that experience with lock boxes and transactions through the app, we were able to scale it to like New York and SF. And then once that happened, we were able to attract more capital, and then we were able to get into like thousands of zip codes and have hundreds of thousands of dog walkers and raise hundreds of millions of dollars. And yeah, eventually getting listed on the NASDAQ.
Amazing,
So
amazing.
Can you tell us how the process of scaling a business transformed you personally?
yeah, I think like it gave me more confidence within myself, meaning like it allowed me to understand that like, okay, if you can build a business that solves a lot of pain points for people and you can take friction out of people's daily lives, these things are insanely scalable. And it allowed me to have confidence within myself where I'm like, the way I diligence businesses now, I would say, like, I'm not in the business of investing in a company that is only going to be live in Delhi and Mumbai. Like I want a business
Mhm.
that touches 1.5 billion people. So I think having that experience allows me to have that unlock in my brain where I'm like any like that scale is possible. So if that makes sense.
That does make
Absolutely.
sense. Yeah, I'm curious also about you worked on a business that scaled, massively. We work with businesses that have the potential to scale and that have scaled on a large scale, but we also work with a lot of boring businesses that are primarily cash flowing. How do you look at the different types of businesses as an investor and as a partner in a VC now? Like you were just saying, you want to see something that's going to touch the lives of 1.5 billion people. Are the other kinds of businesses less interesting to you? Like if it doesn't have a tech component or massive scale, is that less interesting than what we would, consider a boring business?
Well, what's interesting is I think the boring businesses actually make money and that like show really good healthy economics. I'm investing in half of this shit's fugazi in the beginning. You're like, this is an idea and a thesis, and maybe this is gonna work, and we're gonna value this at $10 million. And like I'm sure you're seeing these companies now in Silicon Valley that are, pre-product, pre-launch valued at $100 million. It's nuts.
Yeah, yeah.
I love those types of businesses, cash flow generating businesses. I have friends in LA that own washing machine companies that crush it. Like those are great businesses. Raj with the acai bowls, it's amazing. For me, like I only look at companies that are going to be that billion to $10 billion valuation businesses. That's what I'm investing in. I'm investing of like future decacorns that can touch the lives of millions of people. And a lot of my bets are probably the contrarian to some extent. I do think like since my thesis is India, young, exceptional Indian founders building for the future of India, I think like as the young Indian founder or as the young Indian's wallet size expands, where are they allocating those dollars to? And some of the money that's being allocated will be in like say D2C products and stuff like that, which I think there is a tech component, but it's not like as technically kind of advanced as like one of these like AI businesses or whatever the case may be. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't like discourage these cash flow boring businesses. It's just I'm excited about like potentially like AI or tech kind of making these like infiltrating these non-sexy industries and making them like putting like potentially AI into these non-sexy businesses that can really scale and stuff like that.
Yeah. So actually, with that said, talking about India, let's talk about India. India is actually how what brought Sahil and I together.
That's right.
We both met through a organization called IndieCore that sends second generation Indians back to India to do volunteer service work.
Really?
And that's how we met and became friends, and think why we have kind of a shared kind of perspective on the world. And tell us about India. Like what are you seeing today? Why India first of all, and what do you see as the future of this economy?
Yeah, a lot of founders knew what WAG was, so it was kind of an easy way to kind of break the ice and talk to these individuals. But I saw a lot of founders like launch businesses with not that much capital and get traction, which I thought was like really interesting because like capital goes really far in India. And then it just like, I mean, when I first got to India, like I looked at India as like an adventure. Like, I love the concept of meditation and yoga and the whole like, I feel like very at peace, even though it's very chaotic. I also feel very at peace and it was just like an adventure. It was so cool. Like it was like I'm on like I've never seen a place like this. So I was just like inherently curious and I think that's another skill set to have as an entrepreneur is like really be curious. But I did more kind of macro kind of research on India, and I was sharing on LinkedIn my like journey like going to India. And from a macro lens, I realized that half the population's under 27, and they're all digitized, and all of those individuals have mobile phones. And when they're like accessing their mobile phone and they're on Instagram and they're on these other platforms, they see what people are wearing, what they're putting in their bodies, what they're doing, where they're traveling to. And this young population wants to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And now in India, you have like this generation where the parents are not saying you have to be a doctor, an engineer, or whatever it is. Like, go take risks, go travel, go do things, go build your dream. So right now in India, from the Gen Z population, it's the largest population in the world, but it's like they're consuming and they're curious like none other. So I believe that that generation is going to fuel this country. In the next 30 years, it's going to be a completely different country. And then from a top down approach, you have, I'm sure when you guys went, you saw like UPI and Adhar, and even through the airports, they have like DigiYatra and like it's a very digitized country and even like ONDC, like they're implementing technology to really make just people's daily lives more frictionless. And then also like most people in India are technical and most people speak English, which I think is very interesting. And then also from like a liquidity standpoint, the IPO markets are heating way back up and like there's a huge like kind of liquid market and then from like acquisitions and stuff like that. So it all made sense from like a macro thesis lens. And then lastly, I would say that as I was writing about my time in India, I started getting founders that were ridiculously successful and GPs at these like really tier one funds, they would reach out to me and be like, hey, like when you come back to India, let me know. Let's meet up. By the way, have you seen like, are you angel investing here? Blah, blah, blah. So I started getting like deals. And that's when the light bulb went off where I'm like, okay, well, I have this GP at Sequoia reaching out to me, like asking me about angel deals and I'm interested in angel investing. And then I'm like, wait, hold on. Maybe there's something here because to crack into these ecosystems are very difficult. So I kind of like was like, you know what? I'm going to like start sourcing some companies here. I sourced a company called Ultra Human, which I did not invest because it was like a yoga app at first and it was like a ridiculous valuation, but the founder's like an amazing person. It's basically the Aura Ring of India. It's like a massive success now. And then the second company I sourced, which I did not invest, but my co-founder did, and these founders are amazing. But it was a company called Karana Cart, and it was two Stanford
Yeah.
19-year-old dropouts.
Wow.
Herschel invested as the in the first kind of pre-seed round, pre-YC, and that company's probably going to go public at about $10 billion valuation in about 5 to 6 years. So
Wow.
like
Wow.
that markup is like, this company does about 5 billion in GMV. They've raised billions of dollars, two 19-year-old kids, but that allowed me to validate, okay, I think I know the founder profile here. I have access. I'm validating my consumption thesis. I'm validating my young founder thesis. I need to look more into this and I need to partner with somebody that can allow me to start the race, not at the start line, but like a few miles ahead by inheriting existing networks and folks and stuff like that. And clearly I'm not Indian, so it made sense. So yeah, that's kind of how it all started. So sorry for the long-winded answer, but
Yeah,
yeah.
No, that is
definitely.
that is fascinating. So, as you explore your thesis, how does AI play a role? Is it a threat or is it an opportunity?
I think it's an opportunity. I do think like, and in this could probably go on, we could slice this in a couple different ways, but I think my overall thesis on AI is it's going to help a lot of businesses. It's transformed how people use technology today. I do think it's not a threat. I think it helps businesses, but I think from a VC lens, I think we're in a massive funding bubble. I think that a lot of these companies are way overvalued. I don't know if revenue is being reported correctly. I think some of these businesses timing may be off. So I think that from that lens, we're in a bubble for sure. But like again, like I'm excited about investing in I've invested in a few like interesting, really cool AI businesses. I think my thesis at my core is the consumption story in India. I still believe in like traditional companies building for consumers in India. Like whether if that's in the food space, the clothing space, the fintech space, that's like my core thesis.
Love it. I love it. So I know, Brendan, you have a limited time on your busy guys. So I think we want to go. We have a lot more questions, but maybe we
Yeah.
can do a round two at a time because I think you have a lot of insight, a lot of wisdom to share about this whole process. So why don't we jump into the rapid fire round, Sahil,
Let's do it.
and maybe ask a few quick questions that you can answer with one or few words, and we'll go from there.
Let's do it. Let's rock and roll. So, you're just going to say the first thing that comes to mind, Brendan, the
Okay.
most dangerous belief a founder can have.
They've made it when they've raised a round of funding.
One signal you look for in a strong company.
Culture,
And finally, what does success mean to you today?
having peace within yourself.
Having peace within yourself, because take a moment here to just recognize that it's not about the paycheck, it's not about the exit number. It's about finding peace within yourself, and if you don't have that, not much else matters.
So, the pathway to peace within yourself is venture capital. I think is what we
Exactly.
can,
That's I think I
that is,
believe
I
that's what
think,
he's
what we can
saying.
all agree on.
Sure. Just keep,
um,
just keep learning about yourself every day.
yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, self-awareness is one of the, I think, under discussed but extremely important elements to happiness and fulfillment in life is just being aware of what's going on.
And Pankaj kicks off our week. We have a weekly meeting, and every week he starts us off with a meditation.
I'm
Yeah.
sure he does. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Let's go.
Yes.
That's how it
Yes.
should be. And
We do a 5 minute meditation.
it's interesting because all the being a founder and being in this world, sometimes you can kind of lose yourself from like kind of taking a pause and like going within and just like kind of slowing down and slowing the thoughts because sometimes slow is faster. And that's kind of what I've learned in the hard way, but it's always good time. I'm glad you guys do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I need to
So,
implement.
Brendan, this is incredibly, thoughtful, insightful conversation. We really appreciate you making the time. I know you're really busy, and we've been trying to organize this for a while. So we appreciate you making time on your calendar for this conversation. If you're all the listeners, we thank you guys so much for listening. Brendan, a couple questions is if people want to get in touch with you, how do they get in touch with you? How do they find you online? And then if you could share one kind of final thought you want to leave our listeners with.
Yeah. And thank you so much, guys, for having me. I'm excited to come back for round two, especially as, I'm on Fun 2 and stuff and beyond. You can find me on LinkedIn, Brendan Rogers. You can also email me at brendan at 2ambvc.com. And I think like it's funny because when people go on podcasts and they're like, oh, reach out to me on LinkedIn or whatever, like DM me on LinkedIn, I will respond. That's how I really was able to grow on LinkedIn was just like making sure that like I took time to like respond and also reach out to people. So please hit me up on LinkedIn. I would say the last thing I'd leave it to founders is like really enjoy the journey. Like every step of the journey is the journey. And it's not about when you start and it's not about when you stop. It's really like kind of the ups and downs through the start and the finish. So really enjoy the journey and celebrate the highs, celebrate the lows, but realize that if you keep putting one foot in front of the other, the lows don't last forever and the highs don't last forever. So just really enjoying the journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it, man. So we'll end with that. For our listeners, building isn't just about outcomes. It's about who you're becoming in the process. And thank you again for listening to Letters of Intent. We appreciate everyone's support. And if you guys have any questions, reach out. Please like, comment, share for more. And until next time, keep on building and keep on growing.